Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Criterion Collection Review Series, where we're reviewing every movie in my personal Criterion collection. And today we're going to be looking at what will most likely be the last Kurosawa film. I know it's sad to see him go after probably 7 or 8 films, but I'm really happy that this is the last one we get to talk about, because I feel it's Kurosawa's one of his most underrated films, and that would be The Bad Sleep Well, which is number 319 in the collection, and this is the only DVD I own from Criterion. All the other ones I own are Blu-ray. The reason why is because they still haven't reissued this on Blu-ray, which I'm very annoyed by, and I hope it happens someday. But again, that leads me to believe this film is a little underrated. So to get into the plot, The Bad Sleep Well is like noir Hamlet, taking place in the bureaucratic business world of 1960s Japan. The film follows Nishi, played by Toshiro Mifune, one of Kurosawa's regulars, who is trying to get revenge for the death of his illegitimate father, who was forced to commit suicide by jumping out of a window, and was forced by the higher-ups of this corporation that is now involved in a big money laundering and embezzlement scam. And from there, we see how Nishi goes about trying to sort of mentally torture and scar these men to eventually take his revenge. And the tactics that he will go to in order to incite this revenge, with the film ultimately asking how far is too far, in a sense. How low do you need to go in order to stop the evils of the world and to achieve personal justice, in a sense. And right off the bat, I'll just say this is one of my favorite Toshiro Mifune performances. Mifune is most well known for his samurai films, so Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, things like that, where he's very, Rashomon, of course, where he's very outlandish, he's very boisterous, very bold. He's very expressive, right? And then you have something like High and Low, which is another one of Kurosawa's modern thrillers, where he is more reserved, but he still has his big moments. He's still very emotional, very expressive. Here, Mifune is very held back. He's very reserved. He's very straight-laced, where he has to hide a lot of emotion, a lot of power underneath this image he has of, like, you know, his suit is always prim and proper, his hair is slicked back, but beneath it's a lot of rage, a lot of anger towards these people that he is so deep within. I mean, he's the secretary for the head of the company, and he's even married the daughter of the head of the company just so he can get so close within them. He does have his explosive moments, his moments of anger, but they're so short, they're so small. And I think it's a very underrated performance from Mifune. I think he does a fantastic job. I mean, in fact, he doesn't even have dialogue in the first 30 minutes of the film, which we can segue into the opening of the film, which is a really, really great introduction. It's an almost 20-30 minute long sequence where we are at Nishi's wedding, and this is also at the same time when police are trying to come in and arrest, or at least question people involved in the embezzling scam, or people involved in the embezzling scheme. And it's just an incredible sequence of introducing you to the players, to the family, to the tone of the film, where you have this very regal, this very organized and, you know, polite society type of wedding, while there are reporters in the other room watching it from afar, you know, taking pot shots at everybody and making their comments and really, you know, grounding what's happening. At the same time, anytime there is a reveal or something, or a cop comes in or someone's questioned, you see these dignified businessmen and leaders sweating absolute bullets and doing everything they can to save face, until you get the final reveal where this cake comes out that looks exactly like the building that Nishi's father jumped from, and there is a rose planted in the exact window that Nishi's father jumped from. It's an incredible sequence and one of the best that Kurosawa ever crafted. From there, we get a very noir-filled, intense thriller that is a slow burn of a film. It takes a while for a lot of the details to be revealed and to be told to the audience. But I think the film is really held together by its performances from a lot of Kurosawa regulars. The lead actor of Ikaru is one of the board members. There are just so many recognizable faces, and a lot of them are playing characters that they don't normally play in Kurosawa films. They do so well with it. I don't know, there's just this extreme sense of tension in the film. I think a lot of that is found in the cinematography. There's a lot of great shadows, a lot of great blocking and framing. It's a great sequence that, if you're a fan of every frame of painting, then you've probably seen before, where they're in Nishi's office. One of the board members is just discovering that money has been planted in his bag, as another board member comes in and tries to question him. And the way they frame it, the way the camera moves, you always have Nishi in the background. You can see his reactions because he's the one doing all of this. While the real action is playing in the foreground, Nishi's in the background. And Mifune's performance is masterful. He's fooling the audience in the same way that he's fooling the characters, while at the same time we're in on it, you know? The Bad Sleep Well is just a fantastically engaging thriller that, if it was just that, if it was just a great story, then, you know, it'd be worth owning and watching. But what really surprised me about the film, and it really comes ahead in the last act, probably the last hour, 40 minutes of the film, where it reveals just how nihilistic it is and just how angry it is. As I mentioned in the last video, it's kind of it's a happy accident that this film, I'm reviewing this film right after Harakiri, because both films came out around the 60s, and both films are very angry towards higher officials in Japan, where Harakiri is more mad at government and corporate powers taking over government. The Bad Sleep Well is mad at the power structure of Japan and corporatism and how it dehumanizes people. And it wrestles with how people can get the means to fight these powers, where you have to question if you're willing to go low enough, if you're willing to go just as low as them in order to defeat them, in order to bring justice. And it's an interesting question that isn't necessarily answered, but is explored in a lot of interesting ways, with a lot of fantastic performances, striking imagery, and I don't know, it's just a fantastic movie that is so well done and so well made. So this being a Criterion DVD and a single disc one at that, the special features are extremely light. We only get a segment of the ongoing documentary series, Kurosawa. It's wonderful to create, I believe is what it's called, where a segment of that is included on almost every Kurosawa film I've looked at before. And this one is specifically about the making of The Bad Sleep Well. It's about 30 minutes. And it's very informative, it's very well done. It's just as interesting as all the other ones. But unfortunately, that's the only thing we get, not even a commentary track. Which is part of the reason why I'd love to get a Blu-ray release of this. I think they could get so much more out of this. I'd love to see some critics talk about it. Luckily, what special features we don't get in the disc, we get in the booklet. Which the booklet is really great because you have two essays that both have both are praising the film, and Receipt also is underrated, but they both have different perspectives on it. So first you have an essay from Chuck Stevens that looks at the film and sort of does a lot to praise it and sort of show what is so special about it in its cinematography and its nihilistic tone, in the way that differs from Kurosawa uses his masterful filmmaking in order to make a film that's very different than anything else he's made, and it's a very good read. But then you also have a great essay from Michael Amarida, I probably said that wrong, who is actually the director of the Ethan Hawke modern day Hamlet film that came out in the 90s. And it's just him talking about Kurosawa's interest and fascination with Shakespeare, and the way that The Bad Sleep Well, the way that it uses not only Hamlet, but other Shakespeare tropes and ideas and artistic flourishes in order to make its film as effective as it is. And it's a very, again, a very interesting read. But it's just a great addition for a very underrated film that I believe, I think it deserves a Blu-ray release, and I think it's one of Kurosawa's, again, most underrated films that I highly recommend for anybody to watch. It is simply fantastic, it's super engaging, and has a very, a darker ending to it that I didn't see coming, but I think is very indicative of the film and the tone and the ideas that it's going for. But either way, thank you all so much for watching. What do you think about The Bad Sleep Well? What do you think about Kurosawa and his modern films? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please like it. If you want more people to see it, please share it. And please subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Where next time we're going to be going into Italian neo-realism. We'll be looking at probably the most famous of that movement, which would be Bicycle Thieves. But either way, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.